Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. Today I'm in the basement of our fifth wheel, and as you can see there's just a disaster of a bunch of wires under here. This hose here that you're seeing, this ruffled hose, is for the central vacuum system. These two uprights here are drain lines for the shower in the main bathroom, and this one here is for the sink in the bathroom and the washing machine connection going down into the black tank. But the reason for this video is not to show you what my wiring and pipes are. It is to show you a problem that I found that may be part of the reason I was having issues, and it may not, but I'm fixing it anyway. What I found, what we were having problems with was our generator was disconnecting, or was just cutting off when shore power was connected, and that is not supposed to happen. We have this automatic transfer switch here that is supposed to transfer power from the generator and the shore power automatically. This is inside that. This side over here is shore power, this side over here is generator power, and then this down here feeds into the unit from either the shore power coming in or the generator power coming in. Now these connections here, you can see how this one is nice and flush, and this one here stands out some. That's because right now we have shore power on, we do not have generator on. This generator will not push in. These are connected electronically and physically back down in here, physically and then electronically through the system. And what was happening, I think, because I did not have this open when the trouble was going on, I think it was trying to connect the shore power and the generator at the same time, thus killing the generator. So and I started doing some research, and from the Southwire website, it said this transfer switch can be mounted up here like this. And as you can see, I've got it kind of up and down from the top of the rig to the bottom of the rig. This transfer switch can be mounted up and down. It can be mounted sideways. Of course, when I turn my phone, of course, it stays the same, but you get the idea. But it can be mounted up and down, it can be mounted sideways either way, it can be mounted upside down, it can be mounted with this label facing the ground. It cannot be mounted with this label facing up. That is straight from the instructions of the transfer switch company. Do not mount this transfer switch horizontal with the label facing up. So what did I find in the belly of my rig but the transfer switch bolted to the floor down here with this facing up. It was bolted just about right here. Somewhere in that, right here in this area is where it was bolted down. And obviously that becomes a problem when it says don't mount it that way. I don't know if that is why it was causing the generator to shut down when the shore power was hooked up, or even if it was in fact causing the generator to shut down. But I went ahead and decided, okay, I'm going to fix that. I got myself a piece of 2x4 out of my scrap pile at home. I got myself a piece of shelving board that we had left over from a shelving project out of my scrap pile at home. I got myself another piece of 2x4 up here. I used my Craig tool, which does these pocket holes. Craig tools are awesome for pocket holes. I used my Craig tool to put a couple of pocket holes in this 2x4 here. I set it in place. I bolted it to my board with this board bolted down here so that my vertical was where it needs to be. I set this up here. I took my drill. I drilled into the aluminum some pilot holes, and then I screwed some screws into the aluminum to hold that, so that in essence this thing is just here. It moves a little bit, but not much. It's not going to go anywhere, and I may come back with a 2x4 that will go from here all the way over to this aluminum rail and really mount it a lot more solid. But for right now, we've got a trip next weekend, and so right now this is going to hold this thing up. While I was at it, our power converter, that's the AC to DC power converter, it gives the DC power to all the DC items inside the rig, the DC lights, anything that works off of battery power. This is how it gets battery power inside the rig. And when you're on shore power, this also charges the house battery, which right now we have a bad house battery, I think, because this thing is charging, but the house battery is staying dead. But this was also bolted right down here on this piece of flooring, which if we have a water leak, transfer switch gets wet. Power and electric, or power and water do not mix. Therefore, this power converter did not need to be laying flat on the floor. So while I had my board going in here anyway, I went ahead and mounted my transfer switch up high, gave me plenty of room to put my power converter switch down low. The only thing I'm going to worry about this a little bit about is the heat comes out. There's a cooling fan down here that pulls air in to blow air out the top, which cools the circuit board in here and keeps it working properly. And this heat coming out, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I've never felt it, even when it's been working full bore, as it were. I've never felt much heat coming out of it, but in theory, I could have a problem with heat coming from here up to here. If it looks like I'm going to have that kind of a problem, I can come in here and put a divider in here, just a little heat shield across here that will divert the heat out one way or the other. But at this point, this can no longer get wet on the floor if we have a water leak. This is mounted in a proper configuration, no matter what that is other than the way it was mounted, and everything should work properly. It took me a little bit of rearranging. These wires here were both in front of these drain pipes. This power cord for the converter was in front of the drain pipes. The DC lines going into the rig from the power converter were in front of the drain lines. It was going to make it, if we ever had to get these drain lines to work on them, we had all this power in front of them anyway. So this, I had to take everything apart, move it back. I'm getting a better idea of how I want to remodel all my wiring in here at some point in time. But at this point in time, everything is in where it needs to be and should be working properly. I'm not going to worry about it now. I can put my covers back on in here, hook my vacuum cleaner back up, and I should be ready to go. But this is just something, if you have a fifth wheel, and it doesn't matter really who you bought it from. This happens to be a Grand Design Momentum, but and this is a 2022 model, brand new. The manufacturers don't always have the exact information they need from the item manufacturers to know how to install it properly, especially through what we've been through in the last year and a half with different people doing different jobs on the assembly line than what they're used to. And I'm figuring that that's probably what happened. But rather than taking this up to the dealer and saying, hey, under warranty, I need this, this, and this done, and have them look at me like, what planet did you come from? You're going to be out without your rig for 3 weeks, maybe a month or more, for us to put a board in here that I've done in about an hour and a half. So, you know, just an idea. This board here is 7.5 inches wide from this edge to this edge. And as you can see, I've got maybe a half to 3/4 of an inch from this screw hole here to the edge of the board there. And I've got about the same 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch from this screw hole over to the edge of the board here. So I've got plenty of meat of that board for those screws to go into and not pull out. Everything's good to go. I've only got my power converter put on here with 2 screws on the top. It was, in fact, only screwed down to the floor with 2 screws, and it doesn't wobble, so I'm not going to worry about it. It's going to be good to go. This is just the first of many of the sub-basement type modifications I'm going to be making in here. If you've gotten any knowledge and that you can use from this video, that's great. That's the whole idea of this. Please hit the like button, share this video, please subscribe and hit the bell to make sure you get all of our notifications of upcoming videos. And thank you again. Have a great day.